For the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, Gunther versus Damian Priest. So, the story going into this match was that Gunther has lost his in-ring mojo, his confidence, and they basically made it a one-sided feud with Damian Priest. And usually when WWE does one-sided story build-ups, it means the person who was on the lower side of that, who was on the short end of the stick, basically for that one-sided build-up, they're gonna go over. Of course, I was wrong. They did that for The Undertaker and Brock Lesnar WrestleMania 30, and I was like the one guy in the front row. I didn't even think it. Man, Brock Lesnar winning, and that I knew, though, this was not going to be the way this one went, because I knew Gunther was gonna go ahead and walk away here as champion. But as far as the match goes, I was a big fan of their SummerSlam match. Thought it was really good. So the storytelling and the psychology in this match was on point. That's what I really loved about it. It was really on point. So right from the entrances, Damian Priest, he comes out very confident, whereas Gunther, he comes out just looking unsure of himself, like, oh man, and he just looks off, and that plays right into the beginning of the match, because Gunther, who is the ring general, is out-wrestled by Damian Priest, and one does not just simply out-wrestle the ring general. So I thought that was really great. But what happens, and just once again, brilliant storytelling, the way they did this in this ring, the way they worked this match. So there's a part where Damian Priest does like a shoulder tackle to Gunther, and it definitely gets him out. But you see Damian Priest is like, oh, my shoulder, he's like, oh, that hurt my shoulder. And as Gunther's recovering, he looks up and he's like, and he starts smiling. And this is where it's like, okay, Gunther is now becoming a shark who smells blood in the water. And so it takes a little bit moment for Damian, because he's trying to no sell. He's trying to like, I'm good. He's even telling the ref, I'm good. But there's one part where Gunther finally nails him in the shoulder, and Damian's like, and all that stuff. And that's where we see the confidence in Gunther comes back, and Gunther just starts going to work on Damian Priest's shoulder throughout the match. And I just loved it. I just love the storytelling, the psychology, everything that they put into this. Like, that was great. And from here, man, Gunther, the build up really, it was just really built up well with Gunther. Damian, let's see, what did I put here? But they do, the close up shots once again through, looking at my notes here, target. He targets the arm of Damian Priest throughout the match, and Damian Priest, he does make several comebacks throughout the match, but his shoulder fails him every time, and he's starting to get a lot of momentum, but Gunther keeps constantly targeting it. Eventually, Damian Priest, he does get some moves like the Razor's Edge, and he basically is able to get it, but it takes a lot out of his shoulder. There's even a part where he twice goes for the South of Heaven chokeslam, but he can't quite get him up. And I was kind of like, why don't you use your good arm? But he keeps using the bad arm, and then he powers through the pain, and he's able to do it. No, actually, I don't think he does. Gunther actually reverses it into a modified Kimura lock, and man, it looks like Damian Priest is about to tap out. He's thinking about it, but he ends up mastering the strength to do it, or mustering up the strength to do it. And he starts crawling, and he ends up getting to the ring apron, and then as you get to the ring rope, and grabs it. Now, as you get to the ending of the match, well, first of all, let me say this, you'll hear a lot of fans when wrestlers make mistakes, you'll hear them yell, you effed up. And I don't even do that as a fan, just because, at the end of the day, these are human beings, and they put their blood, sweat, and tears as athletes and as performers into their ring work. So if something goes wrong, they're going to eat themselves up. So, as a fan, I don't do that. I don't like to do that, because, it's just adding insult to injury. Like, they're not perfect. No one among us, even as good as we all are at something when it comes to being, expert at it, we might even slip up. So nobody's perfect here. So But man, it takes on a whole new level when you hear it's a small minority of the fans, but I hear a small minority of fans. There's a spot where Damian Priest and Gunther they both fall off the ring, and there's Gunther, he falls into the canvas, and Damian Priest ends up falling to the ground, and he starts hurting both his shoulders, and they said, I think he injured the commentators saying, I think he injured the other shoulder, and you start hearing some fans in the background yell, you effed up, you effed up. But clearly it's part of the story. So it kind of makes you think, like, what does that say about you as a fan if you thought they effed up? And I realize when you're in the ring, when you're in the audience, things look a little bit different. Like when I was at SummerSlam 2023 last year, from our distance, because of how far we were from the ring, you don't know, is Bianca Belair injured? It looks very convincing when you're just watching him in the ring, but then when you start seeing the cameraman in front of her and you realize they're taking their sweet time to get to the ring, you're like, okay, it's part of the story. So, but for them to go like, you effed up on a spot that was so clearly part of the story, it kind of makes you question, like, well, why even ask it in the first place? Yeah, but what if it was legit? Both guys slip and fall. You know what? These are experts. These are ring experts in the ring. They're gonna mess up sometimes, but they are still good enough at their job that they are in the position they are. So I just had to get that part off my chest, because I was just shaking my head. I'm like, it's a clear spot, part of the match. How are you yelling they effed up when they clearly didn't? Like, if anything, I think they effed up chanting you effed up, because it was part of the match. So yeah, but that being said, we get to the actual match, and oh boy, this finish here. It basically was Triple H booking and his team regurgitating the finish from SummerSlam. So when Damian Priest is out there selling both his shoulders, Finn Balor comes out of nowhere, jumps off the steel steps, and does the coup de grace, boom, onto Damian Priest and throws him in the ring. This is why the referee's back is turned and stuff. And Gunther, he sees this and he gets mad. He runs out and he basically attacks and takes care of Finn Balor, because Gunther is the honorable heel. He's going to be a jerk. He's going to say horrible things. He's going to be overconfident and arrogant and cocky. But the one thing Gunther does is he wins his matches clean. And whether he loses or wins, he will shake your hand. So, that's the thing about him as a heel, which is so different than the presentation that you have with any other heel. However, he ends up taking advantage, and he sort of like takes the shoulder and the head and wraps it all up in the sleeper hold and everything, and ends up basically putting Damian Priest to sleep. So the winner via technical submission is Gunther, retaining the oh my gosh, I am so stuck back in the thing. It's late, ladies and gentlemen, when I'm live streaming this. Let's try this one over again. We're live, pal. The Ring General, Gunther, retains via technical submission the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. There we go. We got it right. Like I said, we humans are not perfect, but hey, it's about keep going and everything. That being said, man, I wasn't feeling this one. I know a lot of people say Triple H is cooking, and hey, I'm right there with you. I agree. Triple H is definitely cooking, and majority of time he certainly cooks up some great dishes for the WWE audience. But this finish, I would say, if we're gonna use the analogy of cooking, this finish came out was sort of a burnt dish. Yeah, this dish was cooked, but I think it was overcooked. It was burnt. That's the best way I describe this. And this is someone who loves Triple H's booking, but very and granted, during Vince McMahon's time, later years in the booking, there was a lot of things that had me kind of scratching my head, and I just didn't understand like what. But this one right here is like, we're going back to Finn Balor after I thought it was done. Like, it looked like he had finished Finn Balor. Like, Finn Balor hadn't even said anything about him for the last month and a half, and now he came back here, and I thought it made sense at SummerSlam for Gunther to lose, or for Gunther to win via Finn Balor interfering. It told the story where it needed to go with Damian Priest and Finn Balor, and it allowed Gunther to get the world title, and it kept Damian Priest looking strong. So I thought, now Survivor Series, with all that out the way, all those shenanigans, now this is the time for Gunther to go in there and defeat Damian Priest 100% clean. I thought this was them basically doing what they did with Randy Orton, because he didn't beat Randy Orton decisively, so he had a rematch and he got the decisive victory. Therefore, since he didn't get a decisive victory over Damian Priest, he would come back in and get that decisive victory. But that's not what they did. That's not what they did here, and so that is what it is there. Yeah, I did not like the finish. It had me booing. It had me on, and again, granted, that's what the story's supposed to do, but it had me. I was in my tears like, boo, boo, because, man, I just wanted to see this one go right down the middle. 1, 2, 3. Gunther gets that clean victory and moves on. Yeah, so here we are, back to Finn Balor and Gunther. Back to Finn Balor and Damian Priest. I don't know where else to go with this. I guess they're just gonna redo the same thing. Maybe they're gonna build up to Hell in a Cell. I don't know. I guess we just gotta see. But yeah, this ending really brought it down a notch. And yeah, this comes from a guy whose favorite all-time match is WrestleMania 17, Stone Cold Steve Austin versus The Rock. Obviously in hindsight, that heel turn did a lot of harm, where it feels like it took 20 plus years and that the WWE is just now recovering from that. I get that, but I thought the execution of the ending of the finish, if you're gonna turn him heel, I thought that was well done in terms of shock and suspense. But this one right here just felt like we were going back to the same thing. Yeah, that's my thing about it here.